Der ingomwa.
Good evening, viewer, and welcome to the Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. The presidential statement to the nation on the progress of COVID-19 response highlighted that the transmission rates have continued to go down. The National Task Force of COVID-19 will focus on vaccination, surveillance, and safe reopening of sectors under lockdown. In Uganda, vaccination will be eligible to Ugandans 18 years and above, and the target is to have 22 million Ugandans vaccinated, but the priority population will be 4.8 million Ugandans by December. My name is Nito Patricia, and welcome to the Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. Today with me in studio, I'm hosting the Deputy RDC of Arua District. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia.
And I'm also hosting the District Health Inspector, Mr. Anjiku Manasseh. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. And the discussion today is about vaccination. We know that the National Task Force has rolled out a massive vaccination campaign of Ugandans against COVID-19, and I will start with the RDC. Do you think that the President's threats to the DHOs, to the RDCs, to have vaccines complete without getting expired, do you think those threats have worked?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for that question. It was not a threat from the President. He was only encouraging our team to continue working, continue mobilizing to make sure that our community members respond to this vaccination so that we finish these vaccines in time to avoid wastages.
It looked a threat because not until he delivered that message that you woke up.
We have been doing the work. It didn't start when they communicated the last time. Vaccination has been going on, and if you to look, that was not the first vaccines we received. We started this exercise some time back, and the first batch that was brought, we completed. The second one was also completed. That was the third batch we received in Arua district. So it didn't wake up some of our team. We have been doing this work, so it was not the first time we were doing this exercise.
We had 5 days to complete those vaccines. And as Arua, we were one of the top districts that had vaccines still in our coffers. Did you complete that?
It is true. When the President communicated, Arua was not doing well because we were among those districts that were still left with a big number of doses. But as I talk now, I'm happy to report that it didn't take us even 2 days to complete the doses of AstraZeneca that we had. The only doses that we remain with was for Sinovac, but as I talk now, I believe very few have remained. And also, because that one has a long lifespan, Sinovac has a long lifespan. Why we were worried was because AstraZeneca has very short lifespan. That's why we were worried of it expiring before the
So-
deadline.
So how best did you mobilize the population to go for vaccination before they expired on 30th September?
We manage, as we have been doing before,
Yeah.
we managed to engage our community members through the radio talk shows. We did road drive, whereby we sent another team on a road drive, whereby you find a vehicle moving in communities with public address system, mobilizing people to go for vaccination. And also we made sure we took some of the vaccination centers nearer to our community members. And also that time around, when churches just opened,
Yeah.
we were able to pass this on information to our people through church leaders. And I'm happy to report that they responded positively.
Thank you. Last week on Thursday, we saw the Minister of State for Primary Health Care, Honorable Margaret Muhanga, announced to the country that they have received 300,000 doses of AstraZeneca, a donation that came from the government of Ireland. And her promise was that by 4th October, we will have all these vaccines distributed. This brings me to the district health inspector. Has Arua district received any new consignment of vaccines?
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Vina. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah.
As my other teacher has said, let me first start where to add on something he talked about. The time the president gave his address on COVID,
Yeah.
I don't remember the date, but Arua was reported as one of the districts with the highest stock of unused vaccines.
Vaccines, yes.
That was partially, I would say not right, because when we vaccinate people,
Yeah.
the data doesn't get captured immediately on the Ministry of Health dashboard. So what we do is we have different immunization posts in our various facilities. It takes time for us to retrieve those the registers, where it is captured manually by data entrance on the computers, then it goes to Ministry of Health. By the time the speech was made, after a lot of work was done, a lot of vaccine was already consumed, only that the data was not captured in the Ministry of Health database. However, that doesn't mean that we didn't have stock of vaccine. It was less than about 600 doses, which we managed to consume.
You consumed them before expiry.
Exactly. We managed to consume them in a few days with the strategies that he mentioned. From being static, there were outreaches that were done. It was swept within a short time. That is to emphasize on what my other teacher just said. Coming to what you asked me. The vaccine the president talked about were actually the AstraZeneca, which I think were donated or received from the government of Norway, sometime back. Then the time he made his speech, there was also a stock of vaccines that were brought. Since the lifespan was long,
Yeah.
that was the Sinovac. I think the first time we received Sinovac, we received around 4,732 as the district. This one was shared between Arua district and the city,
Yeah.
Arua city. So, and immediately they were brought, our office sat and apportioned it based on the population in the different, in the catchment area of the different health facilities that are under our jurisdiction in the city. So that was done, and immediately they were dispersed with the accompanying logistics. The vaccines, the syringes, the cards, and so on, they were already taken out. Then, as you mentioned, a few days, as you said, the minister announced that vaccines were coming. Indeed, more vaccines came, and as a Arua, our share of the national cake in form of the vaccines that were brought, I think to be exact, they came on 3rd October, here in our, yes, in our district vaccine stores. And they were like that. We received assorted vaccines, the different manufacturers. We have Moderna. We received up to a tune of 3,150 doses.
Yes.
And then we have AstraZeneca. There were 880. And then, I think there were these two. Then, from the previous, what I talked about that we received, as the president was addressing the nation, we had already the Sinovac. So when we communicated, we found actually a good percentage already being consumed.
So are those vaccines for the priority population, or it is for any eligible Ugandan?
I think, if you can remember, when vaccines first came,
Yes.
we had targeted population.
We had health workers, we
Health
had the
workers.
teachers,
True.
the elderly above 50 years.
And people with comorbidities, meaning
Yes.
I may be not that age group of elderly person, but I have comorbidities, what we are known as those diseases that make you vulnerable
Vulnerable to
to
COVID-19.
getting a severe form of COVID-19.
Yes.
These are people who had diseases like hypertension, that's high blood pressure, people who have diabetes, people who have cancer treatment or who have cancer, and other debilitating diseases. So those were targeted.
Yeah.
And we went by that, and as time went by,
Yes.
now they have reduced it down to 18.
18.
Meaning, the good number of students, especially from in the tertiary education,
Preparing to go to
to
school,
school.
in November.
So those ones fall in this category.
Okay.
So that has been added, meaning it will have a wider base to cut. And if we all, I urge all the eligible people, that's people 18 years above, including those in the previous categories who had not come out, if we come out and take up these vaccines, and they will have reached the target, which the ministry and the chair, the president talking about, up to the 4,800,000 people by December will have reached.
Thank you. Let me get to the Deputy Resident District Commissioner, Arua District. Now that the different consignments of the different vaccines have arrived in the district, what is your next plan to have the population vaccinated in the shortest time possible?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia. As I mentioned earlier on,
Yeah.
our mobilization continues. We have not stopped.
Mm.
It's a continuous process.
Yes.
As the DHI has mentioned,
Yeah.
we have just received a new set of vaccines.
Vaccines.
That was on Sunday, the 3rd of October.
Yes.
As he gave us the figures, we received Moderna, 3,150, and AstraZeneca, 880 doses.
Yes.
So, what we are doing to ensure that our people get vaccinated, I've already mentioned, we are continuing with our mobilization. We are moving to communities.
Yes.
We are using churches to reach out to our people. We are using public address system to reach our people.
That is the
who might
level of intensity you're using.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there we believe the information will reach people faster, and even the coverage is wider compared to maybe radio talk shows and the rest.
Have you distributed the vaccines to the different vaccination points, or they are still at the central point?
Actually, we have now put our vaccination centers in all the health centers.
In all the health
center
center
threes
of
in
the district?
different sub-counties
Okay.
we have,
Yes.
and also at the regional referral.
Yeah.
So we encourage our people to reach out to those centers to get vaccinated. Provided you are above 18 years, don't delay at all. Come and get your vaccines. The restrictions that were put at first, whereby we were only targeting specific group of people, I believe it has been relaxed. Now we are welcoming anyone to come and get the vaccines.
And vaccines.
Yeah. Also, we have a vaccination center at Kuluva Hospital. So people around there can also make the best use of that hospital.
So how easy is it to get vaccinated? Do I need a national ID? Do I need a passport? Do I need to identify myself whether I am a Ugandan or not?
Yeah, what is important, we also need to take records of the people we are vaccinated.
Yes.
That's why we need some identity. You can use the national ID.
Right.
You can use your passport. You can use a letter from your local council, one chairperson, to prove that you are a resident of that area. Yeah. So really, we need some identification. because we first want to cover our nationals before maybe we can
Before you
extend
can
these services to other people.
Extend others.
Yeah.
Let me get to the district health inspector. The elderly people 50 plus and health workers as a priority population are lagging behind on vaccination uptake. We have health workers who are actually discouraging people from getting vaccinated. How are you addressing that?
Thank you very much, Patricia, once again. As already mentioned, those were the priority groups when vaccines first came.
Yes.
And you know, human beings are very strange animals. COVID being a new disease and the vaccines being also new on the health supply.
Yeah.
People had their fears for various reasons. If you were a person who uses social media, there were so many propaganda and what I may call circulating on, and you know how fast they move.
Yes.
On the social media,
Yeah.
and many of these are not justified information, and for that reason, people have their fears. But through communication, I think Ministry of Health has done a lot to remove that fear in people. And I think in Uganda we have not suffered any serious side effect that makes people fear or to run away from this. I think it's purely just the messages that we ran around through the social media. So even you say health workers and the elderly, that's a sweeping statement. For us as scientists, we talk about what? Statistics. I think we as a district, local government,
Yes.
our health workers, I left my laptop. I think our statistics, when you look at the immunization by category,
Yeah.
the health workers, the teachers, I think we are really, like in the municipality, actually the targets have been superseded, meaning people care more than the known. Because the people in private sector, teachers who are in private sector, who may not be on the government payroll, all of those have been covered. Meaning we have exceeded the target, the people known, the teachers that are known on the payroll. I think that is it may be maybe a statement cutting across, but as a district, we have not experienced that challenges. We have met maybe a few for the reasons, maybe others could be pregnant or because certain information are not known on how this one reacts on people below what the 18 as we for now target.
There is a myth that some of these vaccines have been rejected by the first world countries, but in Uganda, it is being used on its citizens. How are you addressing that too?
This may not be directed to the district, but as a nation.
Yes.
You know, for anything, any health commodity to be consumed in the country, it goes through processes.
Yeah.
Not only here and it is globally. Before these vaccines were released for human consumption or for use, they went through the due processes. The scientists did their studies on these vaccines or the medicine. Then WHO had to accredit them. That's why before they're released, it goes through those processes. Then when it comes to the national level, we also have all our own scientists who validate it, and once they're convinced, then they release it. So, if I already mentioned that the media, you guys, the media, you know what media does.
Yeah.
Just as we're here, we are seated here, but millions, thousands are watching. Just like so someone click on what social media it circulates. I know we in the developing world and the people in the Western world, they are very sensitive. Yes, there were a few instances, I think in Denmark, where they got, I think what is the population of Denmark? It is in, 40 million plus. And 1 or 2 instances in those millions of the targeted group, scientifically is insignificant. I think the WHO alluded to this. So there was no, those instances, the blood plus people attributed to what? There was no link between what? The up and then, because scientifically there's no evidence.
Thank you.
So that is on the basis where, you know, the Europeans are very sensitive people. They went ahead maybe, but for us, as I already said earlier, we have not resisted any serious side effect which people claim due to this vaccine in this country.
Thank you so much. Let me come to you, RDC, before we go for a short break. How do you plan to deal with errant public officers who do not want to get vaccinated?
Thank you, Patricia, and the viewers. Initially, when these vaccines just came in,
Yes.
we had some group of people who are opposing these vaccines.
The public servants.
The public servants and other members of the community. They were against these vaccines. As the DHI has said, always any program that comes, any new program that comes, people, there will always be a group of people who will oppose, because they will first need to understand, they will first want to understand what this program is all about. But as I talk now, people have understood what these vaccines are. We have come to realize there are no negative side effects. There are those ones who have been waiting to see whether those who have received vaccines will survive for this long. But as I talk, I received mine the first one in March, and then the second one I received it around June. But I have not seen any side effect. So for those who have been waiting to see how these vaccines will react on our bodies, they have come now to a conclusion that these vaccines are effective and they are working. That's why you see in Western countries, in Europe, they have partially opened their economies because majority or some big number of people receive the vaccines. And that's what we are all striving towards. We also want our population to receive these vaccines so that our economy can be reopened, so that we go back to normal business. I believe their mindset has changed. Yeah, because we are not registering such cases now at the moment. Even our workers, they are turning up in big numbers, the teachers. Like in Arua, I believe close to 95% of teachers have been vaccinated. Meaning now the turn-up is good. People are really accepting these vaccines.
Thank you so much. This is The Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region, and the conversation is on vaccination. As we all know that countrywide vaccination is happening against COVID-19. If you are an eligible Ugandan 18 years and above, let's heed to the message of the President of Uganda and get vaccinated. We will go for a short break and we'll be right back.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short break. This is still The Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. And the discussion is, will Uganda meet the vaccination target of 4.8 million by December this year? And with me in studio is the Deputy Resident District Commissioner, Arua District, Mr. Ochen Robert, and with me also is the District Health Inspector, Arua District Local Government. Let me start again with the Deputy RDC. Do you think that if Ugandans vaccinate, in your own view, do you think if Ugandans vaccinate, we shall have the economy open?
Yeah, thank you. As you have said, in my own view, if we meet the target that the President has communicated,
yes,
of 5 million people I believe economy will be partially open.
Including entertainment centers?
I said it will be partially reopened.
Partially reopened.
Now, if we meet the real target of 22 million people, I believe we shall go back to normal. That is on my own view.
That is your
If
own
we
view.
meet that target of 22 million people.
We saw some of the leaders from Forum for Democratic Change Party,
Yes.
FDC, suggest a creative way of having vaccination done quickly. And one of them was that the country should come up with public holidays for vaccination. How workable is that?
According to me, we don't need to have public holidays so that people can go for vaccines. You know, people have their different schedules of work, and this thing doesn't take very many hours. You just squeeze some 30 minutes, go and get your jab.
But
go back to
in
work.
some instances, there are long lines. There are long lines, and I cannot wait. And probably I have a job that my boss does not allow me to go on Sunday and Saturday to get vaccinated. Don't you think a public holiday would be a better option?
I don't buy that idea of giving public holidays so that people can get vaccinated. Of recent, we came out with many vaccination centers. Even some schools were identified where we expected teachers, the students who are above 18 years, and some of the community members around that area to go and get their jab from there. So we have created very many vaccination centers whereby our people can go and get vaccines.
When the NRM government came into power, one of its biggest challenges to address in the health sector was massive polio vaccination. I was young, yes, but by that time, they had a public holiday to get children vaccinated, and it worked. That is why today we have polio probably kicks out of Uganda 90%. Don't you think the same history can work again? 30 years, 35 years down the road.
Yeah, but if we have many vaccination centers,
Yes.
we shall reach our target. Actually, now that churches have been reopened,
Yeah.
markets have been reopened, we can use some of these places
To
to
move
take
the
the vaccines nearer
closer
to people,
to-
and there we shall cover more than enough.
Okay, thank you so much. District Health Inspector, do people living with comorbidities, does the vaccine have side effects on them?
No. That's why when you look at the first priorities,
Yeah.
those were the people.
Let me
Then
first, what are these comorbidities that we are talking about?
Before I went for break,
Yes.
I think I mentioned a few of them. I told you that these are diseases like high blood pressure,
High blood, okay.
diabetes,
Yes.
heart diseases. These are things that make you prone to getting the severe form of COVID.
Yeah.
And that was why this group of people were targeted.
Okay.
I think it was based on that, which means that it was safe for them. The side effects are not that severe to make people fear or make you worry. Because this is a vaccine that's administered through a jab, injection.
Yeah.
That is, in many people, that is the fear they express. And there are other side effects which are very minor, and in this what it is not a serious thing, so there's no known side effect that can harm them.
So right now in stock, you said you have Moderna, you have AstraZeneca, and you have Sinovac.
Yes.
Now, can you mix jabs, or if I had the first vaccination of AstraZeneca, I have to?
Exactly that. You know, once you are started, when actually the vaccines we're talking about
Yes.
have two jabs, and the duration varies on the vaccine you're talking about. For AstraZeneca, scientifically they say it should have been from between first dose and the second dose is supposed to be 8 weeks, but 2 to 3 months is okay.
Well, what if within these 8 weeks the vaccine, the particular vaccine I took runs out of stock?
Actually, they say the longer it is, the better, because when AstraZeneca first came, they talked of the 8 weeks, but later on, as people keep on learning, they say 3 months, the 12 weeks is much better because after the second will be like a booster dose. Even me, I got this in a similar pattern. Good enough. There was a stock out somehow, but when it came, I was like 3 months when I got my second dose. Once you are started on one type of vaccine, you need to be completed on the same vaccine. AstraZeneca, then AstraZeneca, Moderna. And that's why it's important that once you go for a jab, you're given that piece of paper that today, and Manase got what? AstraZeneca. The next dose will be on a certain date, 3 months or so. When I come to the site, regardless of where I go, I present that paper, they look at what I was started on and they will put you on the same thing. So there's no mixing. You have to continue with what you were started on.
You can please tell the viewer in the local language, is Sinovac, AstraZeneca the same? Or they are just different names by manufacturers and it is one vaccine? In the local language,
yes. Mabapi global kabal berkaya wala lecha bini. Girikobani corona atizuri maziri mani aro vaccine. Kama na bogarasi vaccine na izuri. Vaccine diki imaruki ndundu. Ikindundu aliyonse ibandundu idekini. AstraZeneca dibo garaba ulaya ni deniri. Ini denisi science is complicated but waka somiru erimiru emba. Adidizu albudi kadi fimile adidizu irebe niswani uro mzi ontekanya nyanya ariko nirwan ni digirero ponindera ani ino vubandu ni denisi ima afa girkwa izo kendondo bade yososo te ima ngaso Korea tasna bizura de sabu tseselera e kasazene kabudu beka koriswa andu ngazili su dai rika kumbana mabutia modana ala miniti. So if I do back and obia this AstraZeneca is level back the Nigeria. Kavno bazile so Moderna sit level back so don't there is Moderna. Kavno Sinovac ni level back the Sinovac. So imazingaza lumi rwe mbalo dizu oburibe imarundo ka gwalise banu ndeni Sinovac ba China ndeni Pfizer ba US ya AstraZeneca rekiwa Ulaya di deni so imazingaza bwe lumi rwembazo silent toza no bini angere ko ilu ani lumi rwema usi ubulibe azudi ali reberi.
Deputy RDC, let's talk administrative issues here. At the village level, the smallest administrative units in the country, we have VHTs mobilizing people to go and get vaccinated. But your committee plus the different stakeholders at the district level, you have been accused that you are not paying your VHTs. Why are you delaying?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia, and the viewers. You have raised a very important issue, but I'm going to talk for Arua district. I don't want to talk for other districts because I don't know what is taking place there. As Arua district,
yes,
we received funds from the Ministry of Local Government. That was in July 2021 to help in mobilizing our people against COVID-19. And I would like to report that this time the government also budgeted, also catered for our VTs at the village level, and also the local council one chairpersons and their committees. And from these funds that were released, we managed to bring to our people, the VTs. Yeah. As you know, each village has 2 VTs, yes. And then the local council one and its executives who form a village task force. Yeah. And what we expect of them is to move door to door, move around villages, mobilizing people on the observance of SOPs. And also now that we are taking vaccines nearer to people, we also expect VTs to mobilize their people.
So
to
for your
go
own
for
district,
VHS.
have you had to pay your village health team to zero balance? Because I know of some who are about to demonstrate.
I don't agree with that statement because it was early August that we released all these funds to various sub-counties.
Yeah.
And then now it is upon the sub-county
Counties
leadership
to
to
have-
pay the VHTs because they know their people better.
Yeah.
And I don't expect such cases to arise from Arua district because we made sure all these funds were released, were sent to various sub-counties.
So for any eligible Ugandan, what is your view on the attitude that they should have towards vaccination?
Actually, the message I can pass to an eligible person,
Yes.
I'll encourage people to come and get this jab because so far we have not seen any bad side effect. And also, if it was a bad vaccines, I don't think our government would allow that to reach our country. We also have a very strong team at the Ministry of Health,
Yeah.
and I believe they have proved beyond doubt that these vaccines are effective. We should really trust in our leadership. I don't think they can bring any bad thing to our people. So I only encourage our people to come get this jab so that we can reopen. I know our children have been home for close to 2 years now,
Yes.
and the age is not going down. They are growing and the ages are also increasing. Let's get vaccinated. Our parents, the students who are above 18, as you are aware, university students will report in November. Those who are around, let's come and get this jab. And even other community members who have not yet received a single dose, let's come and get this vaccination. As the DHI has said, we have vaccines available and they have already been dispatched to various health centers in our sub-counties. So let's come and get vaccinated.
Health inspector, there is this social concern, especially from our brothers from the Muslim faith. They have this issue of once they lose a loved one, there are some rituals performed. But your COVID-19 standard operating procedures do not allow that. Do you have you trained any burial teams from that sect to handle their issues
Thank you.
according to their religion?
Thank you very much. When people die,
Yeah.
we are supposed to give them a safe and dignified burial.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we do in infectious diseases like COVID, EVD, that's a Ebola virus disease. In Ebola, it's worse. And as I said, COVID this is the second year we have been with it. A lot of knowledge is coming up. When somebody died of COVID, you will not be allowed to what?
It would be a militaristic way of burying.
Exactly.
You don't have
But
to
now-
pay your last respects. You don't have to.
So as knowledge kept coming,
Yes.
it has been made, so long as the family understands, appreciates that, yes, our relative died due to COVID, it is easy.
Yeah.
Meaning, if I died now in the COVID treatment facility, and before my body is handed over, the body is handed over to the relatives, the health workers are supposed to prepare this body and package in what? In the presence of what? That's the guideline for safe and dignified what?
In the presence
of
of.
the relative.
But
or the
now,
family
should the
representative.
relative have PPEs, and who is supposed to provide this protective equipment?
Of course, this is supposed to be done in the facility before the body is released to the family.
Okay.
So they're supposed to witness how this body is prepared in that dignified way, acceptable to their spiritual aspect and what?
Yes.
And it may not be exactly what, but this is you are operating in an abnormal situation. But they should be there to witness that yes, so and so has come, and the health worker has to package when it's well protected in the presence of a family representative. And this body is packed in a body bag. If you prefer to dress this person in a dress, that's before you send him to the burial, that is allowed. You present then the package. After that, you put in a body bag. For those, unfortunately, for Muslims, they don't use what? Coffins.
Yeah.
But in the religion, also, for people who use coffins, then you provide a coffin, the family provides a coffin, then it's put in it and closed. So that when we release this body to the family, this family representative helps the rest of the community, relatives of another monarch, in saying, yes, indeed, this is our own, and it was packaged, what? So that the body can be handed over to be buried. What we normally do is support the family by providing basic PPE. After packaging it well and disinfecting, cleaning the body, the surface of the coffin, for those who use coffin.
So from that, does the family take over the burial of their loved one, or it is the burial COVID team?
They can support the family, so long as they understand. Meaning, if those people who are going to handle the body, we allow the religious leader to say those last prayers,
Yeah.
and the burial team, the people who handle the body, are given basic PPE, that is to do with the gloves, the masks, and the plastic apron. They can handle it, and it has worked in many ways. It's only that when the family understands, it's very cooperative across, whether Muslim faith or Christian, so long as the family understands, we have worked very comfortable with them and we don't have any conflicts.
We are talking vaccination and we're winding up the discussion, and I will come to the RDC as you give your last communication. There is one concern that comes up from the public. Some of the people that are being vaccinated do not have registration cards. How are you addressing that as a task force? Because people who are vaccinated, some of them don't have evidence that they are vaccinated.
Thank you so much.
You are, as in you have shortage of vaccination cards that you give to.
Okay, thank you. I think this only happened when we had just started the vaccination exercise.
Yeah.
But as I talk now, we have enough. We have available cards. But this you will get after getting the second jab.
So let me chip in here. Do you have supporting partners that are helping the district to carry out this exercise?
The vaccination exercise?
Yes.
The development partners that are coming in
Yeah.
to help in the fight against COVID, for them they're only helping in the areas of mobilization and also in providing us with the protective equipment, and also in the area of sensitization. We have many NGOs who are giving us airtime on radios. We have many NGOs who are providing gloves, sanitizers, and the rest. That's where the area they're helping us, and we really appreciate their efforts. We appreciate what they're doing in helping the district task force in the fight against COVID-19. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Inspector. About the vaccination causing blood clot.
I want to thank RDC for even you asking the question whether we have other partners.
Yes.
Yes, the partners are there, but as a lawyer, you know, our partners are now few. I can cite you an example of a partner that has helped us, is helping us, and it's the ID Infectious Disease Institute. I think in the next few days they're going to train health workers. As I said, there are many more vaccines on the market than what on our health supply chain than before. So health workers need to be. There are trainings that have been conducted by Ministry of Health virtually. And then there are those, I think in the next few days, they're also going to physical training, that's capacity building, including VSTs for mobilizers. So that's an area where some partners come in. Coming to what you asked about the blood clots.
Yes.
As I said, this thing was first, in the media I heard on BBC, and it first was registered in Denmark, and I said the number of those clots compared to the population that was covered, it is not conclusive enough to say this was due to what? Administration of what? The vaccine, that vaccine. So scientifically, there was no evidence to say that those who suffered was due to this. Because when people are doing clinical trials, they take certain populations that is representative of the group we are looking at. So that was not conclusive enough. It could have been coincidence. We have consumed this. We're over 2 million now.
Yeah, we are about 2 million.
Yes. So how many have we documented that this people have suffered this? So those were people who had a negative feeling towards the vaccination. I think before we wind up.
Yes, your last message in Lubarati.
Okay, before I speak to you,
yeah.
It will be a big service if we didn't say thank you, West Nile TV, for giving us this airtime. One time the Malaysian line, it's an offer from them for us to reach the populations across. You are beyond. I know this is now a small thing like this, but we are reaching many people beyond the boundaries of our own. We're grateful. This is a partnership to reach so many in a short time. Before I finally, my last word is, one thank government of Uganda. We are targeting over 4.8 million by close of this year. I believe with this kind of partnership, we are going to reach many more people. So as people who are in that age group from 18 onwards, including those other previous targets, let's come out and participate by getting these vaccines. In addition to getting vaccine, doesn't remove other SOPs. Let's continue to practice those SOPs and observe them. Then vaccine will save those other gaps. So we are very grateful to the government of Uganda for mobilizing these vaccines. These vaccines are coming from different sources because you cannot get one type in bulk to cover the entire population. So when they get this and get that, that's the reason why we're having a number, but they're all effective. Let's come and get them, and with the other SOPs in place, we will get back our freedom, and life will go back to normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we get to the RDC on his last take on vaccination, as per Ministry of Health COVID-19 updates, as 2nd October 2021, the total number of Ugandans that have been vaccinated are 2,200,331, and the deaths has accumulated to 3,162. The positivity rate is at 1.6%, and the cumulative recoveries are 96,159. The cumulative cases that are currently under admission are only 259. So it is a good stride for Ugandans. Weeks before we were only 1.7 million vaccinated, and right now the number of vaccinated Ugandans are at 2,200,321. Mr. RDC, let me come to you. What is your last take on vaccination?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia. And I also thank you for giving us the figures as it stands now. Last week, the Minister of Health reported that these vaccinations has greatly contributed to the reduction in the number of new cases.
Yeah.
And actually, it has reduced by 54%. So, meaning it is working.
It is working.
And
yes.
we can say it is effective so far. So, let's embrace this exercise.
Yeah.
And I encourage the general population really to embrace this exercise. And above all, I also want to thank the government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Health, for the great work they are doing so far. They are working day and night to see that our people are safe. They are lobbying from different countries to see that our people receive these vaccines. And I want to call upon community members not to let them down. They are spending a lot of resources in getting these vaccines closer to us in the communities here. So let's make the best use of these vaccines. They are perfect. That's why we have now witnessed a serious drop in the number of new cases we are registering on a daily basis. So I want to call upon the community members, come in, let's get these vaccinations. And also, before I conclude, I want to thank our team at the district, the health team. They have really done a tremendous job right from the beginning when this COVID came in. I want to thank the surveillance team. I want to thank the home-based team and the general team, actually, plus the district task force, sub-county task force, and village task force. We are seeing all these results as a result of their hard work. And I really want to thank them so much, especially the home-based care. These people have done a lot. They have made sure they reach to each and everyone in their homes. Even amidst this risky situation, they are able to reach to people who are on home-based care. I want to thank them so much, and let's continue with this spirit.
Talking vaccination, that has been the discussion, and as we come back from the short break, we will discuss livelihood, a current government program, how it is ongoing, how it is performing, and whether it is helping lives or not. This is the Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. We will be right back.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short break. This is still the Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region, and the discussion switches to livelihood. And with me, I have a new guest in studio, Mr. Ezuma John, the Commercial Officer, Arua District Local Government, and we are here to discuss the progress of Emyoga. We very well know that in Uganda, Emyoga was launched in 2020, just before the lockdown chipped in. In West Nile particularly, the Emyoga program was launched by the Minister of State for Microfinance, Honorable Haruna Kasolo. He was here on the 4th of March 2020 to launch the Emyoga program, and today we shall have the commercial officer discuss the progress of Emyoga and how it is doing. And with me also is the Deputy RDC. As the head of government programs in the district, he is here to tell us how far the program has gone. Mr. Ezuma, you're very much welcome.
Thank you so much.
From March 2020, Emyoga rolled out in October 2020. How far has it come since that time?
Thank you so much. Emyoga, you rightly mentioned it, was launched and shortly after there was a lockdown where we could really not do much.
Yeah.
And when we started off with the sensitization and mobilization of the communities to form up groups in various parishes, as a rural district, we had a total of 602 associations formed at the parish level.
602.
602.
602.
Exactly.
In how many categories? Because
In
we
all
had,
the various categories, the 18 categories.
including fishermen
Exactly.
and private teachers association.
Not teachers, because the teachers issue was now left in the hands of teachers union.
Okay.
We were not now to handle the issue of teachers.
Yes.
I'm talking about strictly the 18 categories that of course included the fishermen
Yeah.
and those others.
The carpenters, the
Exactly.
boarders, the restaurant owners.
But at last, when these files were reviewed and approved by the Microfinance Support Center, we zeroed on 420 associations, policy associations.
Why were the 200 left out?
Some of them failed to meet up the required standard.
Yes.
Because some of these files were one man, one person group. Somebody may just come up with the name of his wife, of course, his children and so forth.
Yes.
All those other required documentations are not there in file, so we had to, of course, throw it off. We couldn't consider them. So at last we have 420 approved files by Microfinance Support Center, and these 420 are supposed to form circles at constituency level. You are aware, as a rural district, we only have now one constituency,
Vora County.
Vora County. And in Vora County, we have now 18 circles formed, of course, in relating to these 18 enterprises that are given by the president. So these 18 circles, after having formed them, we continued to, of course, educate them on formalities of how they can come up with their leadership and so forth.
So among the education and the sensitization you did to them, did you train them on issues to do with financial literacy or business management?
We tried to do that, but it was not all that comprehensive because time was not on our side and the resources were so meager. We couldn't do it to the depth that communities can really grasp the whole concept. Yeah.
How much money did each of these circles receive?
Well, for the 17 circles, each circle received 30 million, with the exception of local leaders circle that actually received 50 million because that was the arrangement. For local leaders, 50 million, and for other circles was 30 million.
Some groups received 29 million, something. Where did the rest go?
It's true. When you look at accounts of all these circles,
yes,
you get what actually is received on account is 29 something.
Yeah.
Which means the difference is either being a bank charge, a bank deduction for having served in the community accounts. We are aware that these communities opened these accounts minus giving a single cent, and they had been enjoying the services of these banks. So the bank is in business. It cannot allow, of course, do work free for the communities or their clients. They at least deduct some little money out of what they deposited there at the end of it all.
Thank you so much. Mr. RDC, we saw Emyoga being launched operationally in October 2020, and we remember that was the time of the election period. Now, most people consider this as a political word. To what extent do you think political interference has barred the performance of Emyoga?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia, and the viewers. As you rightly said, Emyoga was launched in October towards the general election of 2021.
Yes.
But I want to put this clear that this plan has been there. Emyoga was planned before elections came in.
Yeah, it was planned.
Yeah.
Actually, it had Kasanda district as one of the pilots.
Yes. So it only so happened that we had our elections in 2021, and also we launched it officially in 2021 election.
Wasn't it a campaign strategy to pull people?
Yeah, I want to also make this very clear.
Yes.
Initially, our people didn't understand very well what Emyoga is, and some of them mistook this to be a political program,
Or some
and
sort of
they were
bribery.
taking it as if the government is just trying to to
Bribe
bribe
them.
them so that they vote
Yes.
for the NRM government.
Yes.
But this was not the initial plan. That's why the project is still on and it is still continuing. Due to this misunderstanding, many people, many groups misused their funds. But this was not a political money. Imyoga is a presidential initiative aimed at wealth creation and creating jobs among the citizens.
Was
it was
it-
not a political
Was it part of the economic recovery program for COVID-19 after the lockdown?
Actually, Imyoga came before COVID-19, so it was not part of the recovery. COVID-19 came later when Imyoga was already in place.
We've had Emyoga, we've had Bonaba Gagawale, we've had very many government programs that are that are to have poverty being eradicated. Why do you think these programs have not worked?
Thank you. Some of the projects that have not worked,
Yes.
I believe what is causing this, the people who are piloting this did not carry enough studies, enough research on how best these funds can be utilized in our communities.
Yes.
But for the case of Imyoga,
Yeah.
Imyoga is such a good program that if only our people could embrace and they use this money in the right way to really play a great role in reducing poverty in our communities. Because imagine one parish having like 18 groups, 18 associations, all this money pouring in one parish. Obviously, many people will get something to do. Many people will be engaged in businesses.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, the level of income will increase in their households.
Mr. Commercial Officer, talking loan recovery, how has it been as a district in recovering this fund?
Thank you once more. What I want to start with is how much these people receive actually as a
Yes.
district.
Yes.
I had told you that the 17 groups were given 30 million each,
Yeah.
while for the local leaders,
Sacco
SACCO was given 50 million,
Yeah.
which means as a district, the communities received a total of 560 million as a district. And the recovery is now varied according to enterprise. It is not uniform because these people also got this money at different times.
Okay.
We can't be specific and say we have recovered so much. And secondly, I want to say here that this is a revolving fund. It is actually seed capital which is supposed to revolve among the community.
Yes.
Much as it is revolving, the moment the first tranche, of course, pay back this money they borrowed, another tranche is also identified and the money is given back to them. I can proudly say here that a number of groups have started making, others are now making the third payments to the third group, others are making the second one, others are making the fourth one.
Do they return this money
Yes,
interest
because-
with interest?
Exactly. The interest ranges from 80% to 12%, which means every month you're supposed ideally to charge 1%. If you are charging on annual basis, but if you are charging on at a flat rate,
Yes.
it should not exceed 12%.
12%. Now, how long does a group take to have money returned back?
The group is supposed to use this money at the most 6 months.
6 months,
At
then
the
you
most.
begin to return. So if you say they are returning for the third time to the third group, meaning they have returned to 3 different groups have utilized.
Exactly.
For example, if it is a carpenter's circle, that means the third set of carpenters have.
Exactly.
So that is one of your success stories that you've registered.
I want to say so.
What are some of the challenges you've faced in this exercise?
really we have challenges on ground. One of the key challenges is, the mindset of people had not been properly prepared to receive this money.
Yes.
That's why some of them go ahead to say this is a campaign
Political
strategy.
reward, yeah.
That once the money comes, we shall eat this money and no one will be battered. That's a very big challenge. We should have actually started with the mindset change, which was not done. And we are getting it very rough, of course, running around with the communities on the ground.
Yes.
Secondly, we are aware we have, as Northerners, a very poor culture of saving. People are saving with the pain because they are supposed to, of course, pay back this money. They have all that they're paying to save. Otherwise, it is not their ways. We also look at poor record management in most of these communities. We are aware some of these communities, many of them are illiterate, and there are only few who at least stop at the senior 3 or P7, and getting, of course, this documentation complete is a very big challenge as we talk now.
So the aspect of financial literacy is not.
It's not up to date, because many groups are still grappling with the issues of record management.
Yes.
That is the latest I got from yesterday when we were monitoring some of these programs with the State House. And there is the issue of law uptake. Of course, getting the concept of what Emyoga is all about, people take time to internalize it. They want to relate it to other previous programs that actually failed, which is still a big challenge for us as a district and as a technical staff who are actually running around to monitor and backstop these groups. Thank you.
So let me come to this point. We have Emyoga, and right now we have the parish development model. How best do you think the parish development model can be done differently from Emyoga? Because Parliament gave a report that was not so good about the performance of Emyoga.
The best I want to say here is that policy development model, works in pillars. It has 7 pillars, and among the 7 pillars is the issue of mindset change. I would want to say here that I think if mindset change is the first item to start this program with, definitely policy development model will be better than Emyoga, because people will have, of course, it will have already prepared people's mind to receive this money, why the money is given, how they should use it, and what actually are the bottlenecks that had been in the past will definitely not be there if it works as planned. Yeah.
Let me get back a bit to the Deputy RDC. Emyoga as a government program for poverty eradication in your office, and as you monitor and evaluate government programs on behalf of the Office of the President, what are the challenges you faced on ground?
Yeah, thank you so much. As the commercial officer has highlighted, there's no program that comes without challenges.
Yes.
As in yoga, there are also very many challenges that we are encountering as we do our monitoring.
Yeah.
First of all, you said very well that many youth or many groups took these funds as a political money, and they were taking it as a reward so that they can vote in the government.
Yes.
So this made some of them not to take this very serious. After receiving the money, they were dividing amongst themselves, and none of them was putting in serious business. So meaning they didn't understand at first. And that has really brought a big issue in some of the circles that we have in the district. Also, when they were forming these groups, they were not trained. So many hurried to form the groups without even knowing what are we supposed to do. They didn't have clear visions, goals and objectives. So
yes.
that's why some of them are messing up. They were not well prepared to form these associations. And then another practical challenge that we are getting on the ground, we have some group leaders who are very selfish. They only want this money to benefit themselves. That's why we have registered in 1 or 2 groups where our group leaders have run away with the money. One case was Vora Veterans SACCOs, whereby the group leader, he tricked other 3 members, they signed the check, and he told these people that the check will expire, will mature after 1 week. And then later on, he went alone now to the bank and filled the amount. He withdrew all the money and escaped. He stayed away for like 2 months as we were hunting for him. But later he came back. We were able to recover 20 million, and he had already used 9.5 million. But we are chasing this money. He will recover it. There was another group in Vora sub-county where also the secretary ran away with the money. But this one we were able to recover it fully, about 29.8 million. We recovered it all. So these are some of the challenges we are also facing with some of the group leaders, whereby they want to use this money alone. Yet this money is to benefit the whole circle, is to benefit the whole members of the group.
It is a
It's a
revolving
revolving fund. It will not end it with one group. After you using it, you bring it back. Other groups will also benefit from the same money.
So the assumption is you use it, you create profit.
Yes, and then you return the money you go, so that other members can also benefit.
In the local language, please educate the viewer about Emyoga.
Our former Bapi, Ambele, American, Ama Nedisa City. Ejo program Gamete Bele, Vanambele, Emyoga. The assisile Gamete ni iti agbari lezo aliodrozo, a cui seria serie. Aliodi sende de buffalo remine, o refiero, emigriti bazo, kini e caio bo e fere. Grupo avele, grupo azin, doni vene mugu. Tutar kan ko biasa azin yezo. Sende de pere ale adine balo ma sende ne ko, sende de ere amane grupo le ba ma yere kilili ere vile tusidozi amaza ko dika bene. Sende de kayo kilili gamete ne bu tita piele sende de mongo idrizo sa vele re maliara materi mivo ba ma yo sende de opi Pane lo eminiresi, ani gamete ne sile bazolo emigria, sende de mongo erezo eminisa bele recipe na photo.
Thank you so much, and we shall have the last word from the RDC about Emyoga and the upcoming parish development model on how better the community can take it up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia. Of recent, we had a team from Parliament who have been on the ground monitoring how far and also monitoring the progress of the Emyoga program. And their report was presented on the floor of Parliament, and we are yet to see what changes, what improvement will come out of their reports that they presented on the floor of Parliament. But as per now, this program is still on, and many groups are so far doing so well. Like in Arua district, I can really commend the produce dealers and the women entrepreneurs. They're doing a very great work, and also the tailors. There's a circle for Vora tailors. They're also doing so well. So far, many new groups have come in to benefit from these funds. Many groups have also brought back the money so that the rest can also benefit from it. So I want also to encourage the rest of the groups, the rest of the circles, associations, to make the best use of this money. The government has come out with this program so that we fight poverty in our households, so that we eradicate poverty in our communities. Many youth are out there, they're without jobs, and they've been complaining. We have many people who have been trained in vocational skills, They have been crying of capital to start something.
Yes.
But I'm happy now the government has brought this. The carpenters, the welders, they're all catered for, the borders. I want to call upon them to use this money so as they can improve on their income status. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Thank you so much. This has been the Viewpoint on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. We have discussed COVID-19 vaccination, and we have looked at also a poverty eradication program that government is implementing currently, which is Emyoga, and the upcoming parish development model. Catch me next time, same station, every Friday on West Nile Television, lighting up the region. My name is Nieto Patricia, your host. Thank you so much for being with us.